There we go. Okay, we can officially start. And
We'll talk about workshops for a minute here. So we have coming up a workshop that is open to everyone. And our goal is to have this be, this is something that Chris and I came up with, and our goal is to have this be, I'm trying to get to it, trying to be a way to get a lot of new members. You know, we've had things really change around with going virtual. So I've got Ruth Carter. She is a attorney that's in Entrepreneur Magazine and on NPR. She's written books. And I'm saying she, and she is not a she is trans. So they, Ruth is both a model and an attorney protecting photographers. So Ruth has been on both sides of the camera, and we'll talk a lot about those issues about what the model can and cannot do with their photos, what you can and cannot do with models' photos, how you have to do model releases. So that's, she's really good. I paid for her workshop and did her workshop, and she was generous enough to offer to do that for our club. And since since Ruth was doing that for free, we thought this would be a perfect way that every photographer is worried about losing their pictures and having them show up on Getty for sale. And so she's going to address that next Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Ruth said it was okay if we tape the presentation. So I thought that was also extremely generous of Ruth.
okay, I have a quick question. I'm going to interject. Do we know who user Baker is?
Gayla?
Gayla. Is that Gayla?
Baker? It just says Baker.
Yeah, it is probably Gayla Baker on our board.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And so in addition to having Ruth Carter talk about that on Sunday, we have on May 4th, Tuesday, May 4th, Chris is speaking about monochrome conversion techniques. Yep. And on Wednesday, May 5th, that is Wednesday, not a Tuesday, and it was a different link because Matt Klaskowski has offered us a free workshop on birding. So Matt is a really famous photography trainer, really simple, easy to understand, does Lightroom and Photoshop trainings. This is sponsored by Sony, so it's on Sony's site. You know, they're collecting emails. The presentation itself won't be Sony oriented, but I thought that would be great. And then later in the month, on the 25th, I have Cameron Darnell, fantastic photographer in South Carolina, young guy, 18 years old, going to college. I could not believe his bird photos. A really, really interesting photography. So we've got that coming up on May 25th. So I'm super thrilled with what we've got scheduled. Okay, I'm stopping my share there, Chris. Go wherever you'd like.
Okay. Well, tonight's topic is how I shot it. So just talking to members about some of their favorite images and what the thought process was behind it, the techniques they used to capture it, and even maybe a little bit about how they edited it and came up with the final image. So we've got multiple people to present tonight. So who would like to go first? I've got Teresa's videos. Teresa, would you like to go first?
It's all in the video, so just play that. I don't have, headphones and a speaker, so I don't know if you can hear me well. So yes. I don't have anything to say. It's all in the video.
Oh,
so
okay.
If you want to start, the first one was at the
in case we had questions for you, it would be good. I want to be respectful for your time. I know that you work a lot And so I was really happy to have you here with us. So in case we have questions for you, I'd love to have you first.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm kind of sort of working, so I can do this while that plays. But yeah, I did two, I don't remember what I named them, but the first one was the bookstore, and then the second one was at the gallery. Did I name them like that?
Yes, there's screen recording, which has the girl at the bookstore. It looks like Hyde Brothers, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
So
okay.
That's the first one.
And then the galleries. Do the first one at Hyde Brothers? Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me just double check and make sure that my computer sound is on. Just a second. So audio speakers. Leave computer audio. Okay. We will try opening it and make sure that it plays. Let me turn up my volume on my computer.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
I'm not like signed up to share anything, but I do have one I'd like to share if there's time.
Okay. I'm sorry. I was looking at another screen. Who was that? Basil. Okay. Absolutely. We should have time. So let me open this up. Okay. Can you guys hear Teresa speaking? The volume's really low on the recording.
Nope, don't hear anything.
Hold on. Maybe it's just my computer.
I don't hear anything either.
How's that? You can't hear her. Okay, hold on. Give me just a second.
Five-year project. Hello.
Okay, now I think I got it fixed. Zoom crazy. All right, here we go. You guys should be able to see on my screen Teresa's video. Give me a wave if you can see Teresa's recording on my screen. Okay, here we go.
Oh, my name is Teresa Stevens, and I'm going to go through two of the photos that I have created for my series called The Book Dress Girl. The Book Dress Girl is I'm hoping, kind of a 5-year project. I created a dress, pages of a book, and the concept is take your story with you. So the Book Dress Girl goes to different things and places in her life and everywhere. We all have our story, and this way it's kind of like wearing your story on your sleeve, actually a whole dress. So here we have the Book Dress Girl in a bookstore. And I usually start off with a sketch.
Can you and Megan
and so I have a basic idea of what.
I paused it. We're going to need to mute some people. I'm hearing a lot of stuff in the background.
could mute? And also it was really small on the screen, Chris. Now it's big.
Yeah, I moved my mouse and something happened. So I'm going to make sure that we get that. There we go. We got some people muted. That helps. Okay, let's try it again.
My final photo is going to look like when this is my son's girlfriend. When Kylie arrived to help me with this photo shoot, she had just found this stick, and she said, "Hey, I found this cool stick. It's like a magic wand." and I loved it. It changed the whole concept from just being at a bookstore to a magical um, feeling, which you will see in the end. So anyway, so we start off taking some photos, and here I can see that her dress is in focus, but her face is out of focus. So I go, this is just a random series of photos that I took this day. Right down here at the corner, you can see that there is a cat. There are two cats that live in the bookstore. It's called Hyde Brothers Bookstore, and it's on Wells Street here in Fort Wayne. And so the cat was not exactly helpful. And we go on to more photos. And this one, I finally got the bottom of the dress in the shot. I believe this is the one that I actually used, although I think in this photo her face was out of focus. So I think I grabbed her face from a different shot. And then we had to conjure up the book that she is conjuring off of the shelf. So here's my son helping me hold a book up in different positions so that I can photograph that to insert later. And then here is the final photo that I created. And I did leave the cat in this image. So I did save a PSD of all of these, some of these shots. So here we have um, kind of almost at the end, there are some things, elements up here at the top that I eventually did take out, but I'm going to close some of these layers a little at a time so that you can get an idea of where we started. Right here is where we started, and little by little how I built up this photo. So the book dress, I want it to be very full and fluffy. So, oh yeah, first of all, I do indeed keep the cat inserted into the photo because she does live there. So she was there in one of the photos. I just put her back in this one. And then here we have the book that I've inserted out of my son's hands and erased him so that the book was in position. And then little by little, I'm adding more weight, I mean more length and more volume to the dress itself. And come up here to another one, and here's another huge section that I'm adding in. And then a little bit more to kind of fill in those empty spaces, and a little bit more. That one's kind of harder to see. It's right here. If I zoom in, you can see this one again. Let's see, where were we? Right here. So that one right there, just to fill in, I glued all the pages to a big piece of fabric. So there you can just see the piece of fabric showing through. And I think that's the last one. There is another one where I did replace her face, but I didn't keep that layer for me. I just didn't keep it. So here is a close-up of her dress and her beautiful face and the book and the wand and the cute little kitty. So I'm going to show again the final image, and I'll zoom in on that a little bit so you can see more of the details. Obviously a little different color toning. Once I did finish it, it just kind of like that little bit cooler feel to it, and everything about it just makes me so happy. I'm really having fun with this series.
Okay. Here we go. Start my video back up. So that was from Teresa. So I'm going to go over and pull her second video up here.
Photo that I'm going to share, how I got the shot, is a visit to an art gallery, basically. So this is actually from my show that I had at a local art gallery called Wunderkammer. And these are a whole bunch of my book dress girl photographs. So before I took the exhibit down, I wanted to do a photo shoot here. So I had my friend Crystal come, and she pretended to be several different people enjoying the exhibit. So here is first I have her, and this was so hard to sit in this dress. This is up on the wall is my original book dress, which you can see is just kind of like a big skirt, so it's easy to fit different people. Then my second dress I made was an actual dress, and it's really difficult to wear. So anyway, starting off with just the blank room. And then I have her sitting on the bed. These are not the actual photos that I used. I just picked a random selection here. And then I had her change up a little bit, like her shoes or a wig, to pretend to be different people. So here's a second position, and I absolutely love this one. And unfortunately, as you'll see later, I accidentally shot two images in this same place. So I had to actually move this one. So as we go around the room, we have her now over in this spot. And then she changes her look, and now she's back here in the corner, seemingly talking to no one. But then we change her look again, and now here she is having a conversation with herself. Oh, there's two of those. And then we have her, unfortunately, in the position where the pink wig was. But as you'll see in the end, I ended up changing that. So I put all of those together. Let me see where the end, then here is the final image for the book dress girl at the art gallery. And it was so much work. It was crazy amount of work trying to get the lighting correct and moving around and trying to get the perspective, keeping the perspective the same. So I do have some layers to show you on that one. So this is obviously not completely finished, but I'll undo each layer so you can see how I built this one. Off, 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 off. All right, so here we start with the first one where she's sitting on the bed. Oh, and by the way, the reason for the bed in the exhibit was because that's my favorite place to read, is lying in my bed. It's always been my favorite reading spot. So here we have the first image, or like the base image, and I build off of that. And here we have her leaning over looking at a photo, and then let's see, what do we add in? Oh, then here, right here, I start to build in some shadows, and here's a little bit more shadow because I had to completely cut out and paste her in this position right here. And then what do we do? And then we, oh, here, I'm gonna zoom in. This is really tiny. Looks like I added just a hint of a page right here because it got cut off. Okay, let's zoom back out. And what else did we add on? Okay, so then we got rid of the light and we have her standing here. And then we have her in the background having a lovely conversation with herself slash friend. And I'm gonna zoom in on this one. So apparently I fixed her hair a little bit. Looks like her hair is still kind of transparent from sticking her in there. So I just fixed her hair. And then what do we add in? Oh, and this spot took me forever because the bed frame wasn't matching up, and her dress was just, oh, it was hard. This was really hard. So I think that might be the last one. So there is that. Oh yeah, there is one more. Oh, I don't know where it is. There's one more because in the final image, this image right here, I made her hair longer. So maybe I have another one with layers. Let me pull up the final image again, if I can find it. And we can look at that. And you can see right there that I made her hair longer. So there are two of my multi-layer book dress girl photos. Thank you. Photo that I'm going to share how I got.
Okay. Does anyone have questions for Teresa?
I have one. And then instead of cutting out each person and layering them back in, was your camera on a tripod? Wouldn't it have been easier maybe to just layer several pictures on top of each other?
Teresa, oh, there, she's still around. Oh, we gotta unmute Teresa.
There, yeah, I did not cut out each one.
Oh, okay.
The camera was on a tripod. I just had to cut out that one because
Oh,
I
okay.
took two photos in the same spot.
Gotcha.
No,
Okay.
that, yeah, absolutely, tripod. And then, but the lighting changes and sometimes the camera might bump a little bit. That's why a couple of spots were hard to match up, but oh, absolutely on a tripod.
Yeah, wonderful attention to detail, by the way, to have the lighting kind of match where she was in the room, and that's great.
Yeah, yeah. Good job.
Okay, any other questions for Teresa?
On that last one, Teresa, what do you think you had in post-processing time? Not even your shoot time, that's my next question. But
oh man,
create some, and also your wizard, if you will, your book wizard, what like the set, you know, the setup and getting her into the dress and and all that, what you think you have in your shoot time plus your process time. I think they're so fun and clever. And that was really neat to see all the extra work you have in them.
thank you so much. Sometimes that is just a beautiful orchid. I don't know what I'm looking at there. Sorry, I got distracted. I've half my screen with work, so I only see half of the Zoom thing.
Sorry, my screen, screensaver.
No, that's fine. I just got distracted. You know what, Brenda? Sometimes it really is just hours and hours, and I'll work on it, for a couple of hours and then put it away, and the next day maybe a couple of hours. But the planning and the video was kind of, I did a chat thing. It was not synced up with the words I said, so it was kind of weird. But at some point I thought I said that it almost always starts with a sketch. Like I have a sketchbook. I have tons of sketchbooks, and I always start with a sketched idea and then all kinds of notes in the sketchbook, because it's usually really planned out, except for with the at Hyde Brothers, having the magic wand thrown in there. Like I said, it just added another level of interest to have her actually doing something other than just being a pretty girl in a bookstore. So that was pretty cool. But adding the layers to make the dress fuller and throwing a little page in here and a little page in there and correcting it and erasing and coming back and erasing, going back and forth. It's so much work. But yeah, hours and hours and hours. But that's what we do. We give ourselves all these little assignments, right?
It's, you chose something really unique, not just, a shot in the mountains or something like that. So yeah.
I was very sorry. I turned my video off. I was eating dinner,
Okay.
but I was watching and listening. I was super excited to see Teresa's information tonight. And it's interesting to hear your process and using the sketchbook. I think that's a tip that we can all learn from, no matter what kind of projects we come up with, that getting it out of your brain and onto paper really helps visualize. That's awesome.
It does help a lot. If I can find this real quick, I don't know. I know you got lots of other presentations. I was going to show the art gallery. I had it drawn out like almost exactly the way we did it. I can't find it real quick. I just have, but I had everything. I drew out where the bed was and all the other photos that anyway. It's a long process, and it helps me get through my real job to have a nice creative outlet.
Very cool. Awesome. Teresa, thank you so much for sharing. That's wonderful. Okay. We have a couple other people. Do we have anybody else who's ready to go? I know Brenda said she could possibly divide hers, and then if we need more time, she can do more. Is there anybody who has anything that's real fast?
Mine's
Yeah,
about 10 minutes.
mine would actually be pretty fast.
Basil, and then I'm sorry, Denise, you said
Mine's about 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay, Basil, 10 minutes or less?
Like a couple minutes.
Okay, a couple minutes. Let's hear from Basil then. Basil, do
Okay.
you know how to share your screen?
Well, I'm on my phone and all I can do is send the final picture. I just got it done right before this meeting.
You want to send me the final picture and I'll pull it up for everybody?
Yeah. 1 second here.
Okay.
Okay, it's sent to you. But before I start this, does anybody know a guy named Kyle that's in a wheelchair and around New Haven?
No, I know the guy Kevin who is in a wheelchair, and he's got like some YouTube videos. He's in Fort Wayne, but not New
Okay.
Haven.
Well, because I don't want to let out a secret, because this is his Mother's Day surprise. I just met this guy. I just met this guy yesterday, and my friend Corey is a home health care worker, and she said, well, he's in a wheelchair and he wants to do a picture of him standing up, and you can do some neat things. So can you make him stand up? I'm like, yeah, probably, you know. So I go there, and I think this guy's got muscular dystrophy or something, but his arms are all drawn up. He can't open his hands. His legs are like, he can't straighten them or move them. He's got no muscle control in his face really, or anything, barely talking. I'm like, wow, this is the most challenging thing I've ever had to do, but this was the final outcome now that it's up.
Wow. So what position was he in when you actually took the photo? Was he lying
That's how
down or sitting on something?
No, that's how I took the picture, but he couldn't stand, but Corey was actually behind him, like completely behind him. She was filling up the whole left side of the picture, and she was just holding him up. Her leg was like behind him and everything. It took everything she had to hold him up.
Wow, what a gift.
So when I sent this to them, they said it made them both cry, and that made me pretty happy. So to me, that was the most moving thing I ever did, and it's kind of cool. It took me probably 20 minutes to edit it.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, and where's the background picture from?
He was standing against that shed.
He was, but she was,
Yeah.
she was there also.
She was between him and the shed holding him up.
Okay. Oh, so did you just kind of cloned some color of the wood and made it look like a shadow?
Yeah. I did the white vignette to help pull her out from the edge, because there was no wood to clone there. But I took the wood on top of her and what I could between her legs and stuff, and just pulled it up and took her out.
Yeah, that's do what you got to do to to get it done, but what a wonderful surprise gift.
I
So-
love
My
the idea
presentation.
of somebody in a wheelchair being able to stand.
Yeah, his mom had never seen him stand on his own before, so it was an important picture to him.
What do you think about potential of laying him somewhere? You know, like how they do the Spider-Man climbing the building where they're really on a piece of pavement.
Yeah, I did more of him like that. This wasn't the only picture, but this one was real. He was actually on his own 2 feet, so that's the one I
Right.
wanted for.
Well, and you just met him. It was just yesterday. So like just
Yeah.
get something and get it done.
Yep. And yeah, the others I do laying in the grass and stuff where I can like put a different background behind them, but
I was thinking as a project for people who aren't ambulatory, what a great gift that would be to have that picture of them standing if we had a good spot to put that, or you know, so that you could create that fully standing photo. That would be incredible.
yeah, I'd like to kind of go back and redo it a few times and figure out the best way to do it, but I was happy with this shot.
Oh no, I think it's a really touching thing for him and his mom. Yeah, great.
Very cool. Basil, thank you so much for sharing. That's wonderful.
No problem.
Yeah. All right. All right. So we'll have that there. And then Denise, I'll go ahead and turn control over to you to share your information with us.
Okay, hang on here. I'm not totally used to Zoom. And to start with, I just want to show you that this is what I'm going to talk about, this type of technique. Can you see the photo?
Yeah.
Brenda and I, a couple of years ago, I had seen photos of light painting and decided I really wanted to give it a shot. And there's this fantastic photographer that you can watch his videos, and he shares all of his secrets. They are not secrets anymore because he shares them. And his name is Eric Parr, and he's phenomenal. And to start with, I'm actually going to share a video that is online that he does that, let me enlarge this, that plays for 2 minutes, and it just shows how he does this. Oh, great. There's my dog. So you can get these inexpensive tubes at just your Lowe's or Home Depot. And you do need a special flashlight. A regular flashlight you get at Walmart doesn't do the job. I ended up, first of all, it has to have a clip on it so it can clip onto the tube like that. And it needs to be an adjustable lens so that it shines.
Denise, we're only seeing the original picture. Are you showing something?
Oh, yeah, hang on. I was showing a video. Hang on, let me figure out how to, oh, that's right. I have to stop share and then start share again.
You just needed to do that upshift, the option shift or whatever it was so that you
Well, I'm gonna do that when I get into Photoshop. So hang on, let me do this. Pause. Hang on. Enlarge
I'm just
that.
gonna comment real quick, Denise. Those
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see this because they're really nice and sharp, and I can't wait to play with light painting this summer.
Well,
We can get rid of the snow.
yeah,
Get
right.
outside where it's
I
not
know,
cold.
exactly. I'm not getting the opportunity to share screen on my screen. Hang on, let me get back to Zoom. And there's Zoom meeting. And there we go, share screen. And let me find the screen I want to share. Here it is. Share. Okay. Here's the video, and hopefully you can see it now. Can you see it?
yes, and it fills the screen.
So basically he does this with a tube that is used to cover fluorescent tubes in warehouses and things so that they don't shatter and hurt anybody. And you can get these tubes and they come with end caps at Lowe's or Home Depot, or you can order them online in colors. And he also has a shop where he sells his stuff. You can also make one out of parchment paper for yourself or acetate. The main thing is your lens on your flashlight has to adjust so that it shines down the whole tube. It doesn't work with, I tried it with a friend in Florida. I just bought a $10 flashlight at Kmart and it did not work. So I watched probably 20 of his videos and his technique of how he moved the light, how he got it to do perfect circles. He talks about different exposures, and then he talks about strobe mode and all of this. So after watching all of that, and then he used a feather, and then on one he ends up using a sparkler, which is really cool. We did not have sparklers. It wasn't around the 4th of July, so we didn't get to try that, but it was something we were going to go back and do and then never did. So he is, he literally shares all of his tricks. I mean, how he does those circles and everything. He's phenomenal. We did learn some things in doing this, in that you really do need to wear black. The outfit the model wears makes a difference, because our model started out with like a see-through skirt and it really didn't work. We had her change into something else. And as you can see, he's an incredible photographer. So he has, let me go now and share my 2 screens. Hang on, stop share. And now go on here and share screen. And I want to share Lightroom Classic and Photoshop 2021. Okay. So can you see, Brenda, can you see the one with the yellow painting with the yellow light right now?
Yeah.
Okay. To start with, we did this at, this was at Foster Park, and I kind of scoped out where there would be an area, and, you know, we were kind of worried like the cops would show up or something and go, what the hell are you doing? But nobody showed up and nobody cared we were doing this. And as you can see in the first couple, we were just checking out lighting and all that. And this is when we determined we really didn't like the skirt she had on, the light that it was giving off. And even though it was see-through, it just didn't work. And so we ended up having her change out of that. And instead she ended up putting on a black skirt that she had. And the thing is Photoshop is amazing, because I'm going to show you on one of the images how this was the original picture, and she did not look as thin as I know she wanted to look. And so with the wonders of Photoshop liquify filter, they ended up looking like this, and she was totally thrilled with her pictures. I try not to overdo things on pictures to make it look fake or whatever, but you can play around. If somebody wanted a bigger bosom or a smaller waist or bigger hips, you could do it with the liquify tool. Here is another one that's the original, and then with using liquify, we did that. Now in the background, I have stars, and you can see the trees in the background. What I learned also from this was that I should not have had this asphalt in here. You can darken the asphalt as well in Photoshop. I wish I had done it all on grass or sand. I think doing it on a beach would be a lot of fun. And we tried all kinds of different maneuvers, and some worked. There's the original, there's my just touched up. In the,
point out your shoes there. That's Denise.
yeah, oh yeah, that's perfect. There's my white sneakers. So it helps to wear black socks and black shoes, black pants. And then the other thing that is in one of his videos is he puts black tape on the back side of the tube. And that is so that when you are shining the light, you don't have light reflecting back from the tube onto you. So it presents like a mask on the back of that tube. And so the light is only shining forward, but it's also shining down, which is why you see my sneakers. And here's without the sneakers and just her. And then we started trying some of the really cool, you know, like, oh, let's try this shape and this shape. And as we were looking in the camera, we were like so excited at how they were turning out. But you can see here, I was moving because you can see how far apart my legs are. I was moving as I was doing this and creating the shape with different twirls. And in his videos, he shows all the different ways he twirls it and does things, and he's just phenomenal. And then here's.
Can you talk about how many seconds some of these are so they can see how long we set the cameras for?
Yes, actually, let me get to that part of Lightroom and move my. That's not it. All of that was over here in my metadata, and I closed my metadata bar.
Just go to library. You're in develop, go to library and it'll show up.
Oh, okay, there we go. Okay, so for example, on this particular photo, it was at, this one was at 6 seconds at f.8. And that was for this one, which is the one that I like. I like the shape I did on this one. The hard thing is that when you're asking your model to hold a pose for 6 seconds, they move. And so this did require photoshopping to get the shadows from part of the hold. Now you can see her one arm is totally fine. She had it really relaxed and she didn't move it at all. This one was the shaky arm. And so I had to go in, and then also her hip moved a little bit, and go in and fix that in Photoshop. The other thing is I had her study the videos. I gave her like 10 of the videos and said, you need to watch this and watch what the model does. I said, this is your photo shoot and it's up to you to get the poses. I'm not going to remember what poses I want you to do. I'm worried about the photography side of it. So you study the posing and we're going to take it from there. And she did a really wonderful job. She was the one that remembered at the end of the shoot, like, oh yeah, let's do that yoga pose. And so she did do her homework. And this particular one ended up winning an award from Guru Shots that we play an online game, which was pretty cool. Now, the way we got this was a yellow tube. And then on the end of it, there is, we taped a silver sparkler to it. Not a sparkler, a silver pipe cleaner that has metallic, so that it's like little pieces of aluminum on a pipe cleaner, and taped it to it. And it ended up giving this really cool effect at the very end. And then we ended up having her sit down and got this pose, again with that silver pipe cleaner on the end. And then we set the flashlight to strobe mode and got this. Now, some of the strobes, depending on how fast you're moving it, they didn't look good at all. So I'm glad we took a bunch of shots, because there were a few that turned out very evenly like this. And it turned out really cool. So the photographer, his name is ericparr.com. And he does phenomenal things. He's now come out with all kinds of new videos where he uses different types of tubes, short tubes. He has a store. So you can see he offers the good flashlights. I have to say, I paid like in the end I think it was $65 for my flashlight. I don't know what his sell for, but he now has short tubes and different colored tubes, and just tubes that are holographic. And he has the caps for the end of the tubes, so that you can also put a piece of black tape at the end. It's not like you have to have caps. And then his videos are on tubestories.tv, and he has tons and tons and tons of videos. And here is what I ended up buying. Mine were bought off of Amazon. I bought the yellow tube. I think I bought the blue, the pink, and the white. And then what I did is on the inside of them, so that the glow of the flashlight was more even, I did put a really big piece that I rolled of parchment paper. And that's one of his tips that he gives in one of his videos as well. And it gives a more even light, because being a clear, if it's a clear tube, you know, it's going to be very bright at the base and not, you know, enough light at the end. And these were a couple of my favorite videos of his. One was number 117, which he shows all those unique shapes that you have here. The other one is how he does perfect circles. And I don't think my wrist is as nimble as his, because I had a real hard time getting the perfect circles. And then this is another one about using color with your tubes. And then this one was with sparklers. And this one was using the pipe cleaner at the end. Number 18 was using the pipe cleaner. And this one was how to make yourself invisible. And then he has this one, number 40, which is all about camera settings that he uses for different settings. He's even done it where he's got the Milky Way in the background. So he's a phenomenal photographer. I suggest you look at some of his stuff. And let me just look here and make sure I haven't forgotten anything I wanted to say about it. Okay.
Photoshop.
Oh, yes. And then in Photoshop, let me go to Photoshop. I wanted to show the liquify tool. Can you guys see the girl now in the with the circle of white behind her? Okay, great. Okay, so as you can see, I went in and got rid of shoes. Here's the shoes are still here, but anyway, I got rid of those just using the clone tool. But the secret part is the liquify filter. And so if you go here under filter and then go to liquify, it brings up this menu here. And you want your brush size on whatever area you're doing to be bigger, but not ginormous of the area you want to work on. So I'm going to work on this area in here. And the tool I like is this one here. It's the fifth one down, and that is the pucker tool. And that sucks things in. I use that a lot on my double chin in my own photos because I don't like my double chin, but it works on things like this as well. And all I'm doing is clicking my mouse, and what it does is it's evenly pulling it in. I can make her hips a little smaller. I can go over her arm even and make it a little smaller. So I can go here and just narrow her arm if I want. And anyway, the pucker tool is absolutely my favorite tool of all time. And any questions or anything?
And you show them how you get like more breasts or big hips.
Oh, okay. Then there's the bloat tool, which is the one underneath it. And you can do that over here and enlarge a bosom. You can enlarge hips. You can do cartoons of friends and make their eyes bulge out. So, you know, you can make her have a really big head and look like a zombie, but it's just that it's a fun thing to play around with. I recommend not overdoing it. And I always tell people to never, I mean, when I used to do weddings or anything, I never let anybody see a before picture if I did the liquify tool on it or any really good touch up, because your client or friend or spouse will always have that before picture in their brain and not appreciate the after photo. They don't care how much photoshopping you did. They just know they want to look good. So just show them the after. You know, this young woman did not see any of the before photos. So to her, she was that thin in all the pictures. So anyway, and the advantage of the pucker tool is that it doesn't distort like this circle. If I had used this top tool, which is the push around tool, and I'm pushing it in here, you can see it starts distorting this part of the circle over here. If I'm pushing it in here, it's distorting. And if you have something like wallpaper behind there or something like this circle, it's very noticeable that you've distorted it because it's distorting a lot. Whereas the pucker tool doesn't do that. It keeps it all in perspective. Anything else, Brenda, that I forgot?
That was great. And Denise made it sound like we did this together. My job was just to take pictures. She did all the work. She figured it all out, etc. I just got to be there and take photos. So.
Well, and Steve was part of the time doing the twirling and stuff too, so I could get some pictures. So bless your husband, because we took turns. So anyway, that's what I had to say. I guess I'll quit sharing my screen.
Anybody want to unmute and ask Denise any questions? We're hoping, the problem is COVID. We'd like to, Denise and I would like to, I'm going to show a little light painting on one of mine. We'd like to offer light painting to the photo club. It's just that Denise and I are both high risk. So we, don't want to be together leaning over people's cameras and models and what have you. So we're hoping, by late summer or fall, things will be better. And that's something we could offer. Would everybody be interested in that?
Yes, I was hoping that we could do that as well. And I'm high risk as well. So I think still requiring some kind of face mask outside is probably the safest thing to do. And look, if it means that we can get together and, if you need to hang back and stay back away from people, which I would probably need to do as well. But yeah, I hugged my mother-in-law for the first time today in a year. I just got my second shot today and was double masked up. She was double masked up and we turned our heads this way and I gave her a little bro hug.
Well, the thing with photographing, photographing, first of all, we'd need somebody to be a model. And then you can get 3 people at a time to take the same photo because one could be sitting on the ground, one could be kneeling a little bit distance back and somebody standing so that they're stacked, but you have to be right in front of the model because otherwise, you're seeing the person behind and you're not getting the effect you want. So
I think we could do it and take turns if we masked. And, we could stand back and then come in for our turn to shoot it.
So anyway, it was a lot of fun and I would be glad to share it with the group. I've got 4 tubes that we can use in different colors and play around.
Now, I do have a quick question because I was cruising his website and found his store and I put that in the chat. So I'll make sure that I upload the text from the chat for everybody when we post all the workshop info. I saw long tubes. What about the short tubes? Have you ever tried those?
I have not tried the short tubes. The other thing that I've seen are, I think they're called poi balls, where they light up. They're balls and they're on a string.
Basil has some of those, yes.
And you swing those around to make, designs as well. And then I thought this 4th of July, I'll buy a couple boxes of sparklers and that would be kind of fun too, to put a sparkler on the end.
Yeah.
And,
just not the blue sparklers that are long because those burn hotter and they're a little bit more dangerous. Yeah.
Teresa, you're going to say something?
Have you done, am I muted?
No, we can hear you.
Okay. I did that a few years ago with the steel wool and you get a wire whisk and that's where you get all the sparks that fly off and it's really cool. And the snow reminds me, I did it in late March when it was snow and it was pretty cool because you get a little bit of reflection from the snow of the golden shower that the sparklers create. And it's so cool because they bounce and, obviously with that long exposure, you get to follow each spark and those are really cool too. So we could do the tubes, which I've never done, that they're so cool. I don't know how you get all those cool wavy patterns. But maybe when we are able to get together, do the flashlight tubes and also do the steel wool, because it doesn't look at all like when you're doing the steel wool, it doesn't look at all like you're getting anything. It's like I can barely see it, but because of the long exposure, it just glows and it's very, very cool.
What about like a railroad underpass, like there along Calhoun Street, there are those big railroad underpasses, or the gravel area underneath the railroad underpass behind the art museum?
Yeah, we can
As a
figure that
local
out
committee?
when it gets maybe closer to the date. But yeah, actually, one of his shoots that he does, he did in New York City, and he used an old building. It was in the archway with the person standing under the arch and the lights reflecting off of the building. It was really cool. I've also seen it where they've done like a motorcycle and done the lights behind a cycle, and then you do light painting on the motorcycle itself and shining a flashlight to get the motorcycle lit up, and that looked really cool too.
Teresa, what kind of steel wool did you use for that so it burns well?
Oh, it's a
It's like a finer?
YouTube. I think it's like, it has to be like either the very, very fine. It's something, you know, it's all over YouTube. It's been a couple of years. It's been like probably 5 years since I did that. And the first time I tried it, I had the wrong kind of steel wool and it wouldn't glow. It doesn't flame.
That's what I had.
It just glows. And that's how, as you twirl it, but it has to be a wire whisk. And I just used a dog, what are those things called? You take a dog for a walk? Leash, because it has a hook that goes at the end of the whisk, has a little ring, and twirl it around. But yeah, I think it's like the super, super fine. It's like 0.00000 something. And it's
That's what I was wondering,
really, really
but I did get some wire, save some wire whisk just for that. And I
Yeah.
got the wrong kind of steel wool, so I need to find some of the real fine.
yeah, it's super fine and super fun. Yeah.
Think that they need to look up about fire hazard. So Teresa did it in the snow, which was smart because the grass would have been wet. So just be careful where you do it. A lot of times they do it on a big concrete pad or something so the spark don't start something on fire.
Absolutely.
Yeah, might be good to do it where there's not, maybe my downtown suggestion's not so good because we would get found out. And have a fire extinguisher handy. Basil and I have been talking about doing a shoot with that type of stuff. Or maybe somebody who does fire spinning. Do you remember when they had the grand opening for Promenade Park and they had the people doing fire spinning? That'd be another long exposure thing that would be fun.
That'd be cool too.
Okay, very cool. Thank you so much, Denise. That was awesome.
You're welcome.
Let's see. We've got Brenda still to present. Jerry, I thought had some stuff if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I've
Is
got a couple.
anybody else besides Brenda and Jerry? How are we doing time-wise? Okay. And my thing that I had to share was like 2 minutes. It's so short. So if we have time, we'll do it at the end, but it's really just a reminder of, hey, don't forget to try this thing. So, okay, let's do Jerry and then we'll use the time at the end because I know Brenda had a lot of stuff she had that she could share. So Jerry, let's do yours and see.
I've got like 30 minutes if we need it. So why don't I put you and then have Jerry do his,
Oh, sure.
I can go again if we need something and I can be done if we don't.
Okay, gotcha.
Is that
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Jerry, if that's okay with you, we'll flip it.
Now, Jerry, does that work for you or do you need to go?
No, that's fine.
Okay, great. I'll just do a couple. I just thought since
Yeah.
I was going to share can you see my screen with my light painting on it?
Yep.
Okay, great. So this is, let's see if I can move everybody and make this bigger. Okay, so this is all done with, this is what I organized that Denise came and took pictures. So this is what it looks like. This is my husband in his kayak, and he has a wrapped paddle, and I'll go in on the paddle there. And we've wrapped it with LED lights, and there's a control panel in the middle facing him that lets it be just green lights if we want just green lights, or to alternate. And this is at Shoaf Park on the boat ramp. And so this would be another area where we could do a bunch of people. So we were thinking potentially, you know, we'd have to check for light pollution there, but we were thinking, you know, a few people could be with Denise photographing the model with the lights, while a few people were down by the river with me, and you know, and potentially we could have the spinning thing. I'm not sure about the safety. You can see the kayak going here, so you could see the flaw with it. And also, if his back is to us, it blocks the light. If he's going away from us, then the light doesn't work well because his back is blocking it. So this is him coming towards us and then pulling into the water in front of us. So it creates a good effect, bad effect. You know, it's interesting, but it also ruins the continuity. So we came up with the idea of circles. And by the way, let me just back up. This one, I think, was one of the ones we did that did really well, like in a club competition the previous year. So then we went back and did this was the final one. And what that actually looked like when it was taken was here, and I'm going to switch over to Photoshop. There we go. Okay. Control zero fills your screen, just if you ever have that problem where I'm trying to move the strip of all of us out of the way. So I was going to take you through my computer is going like really slow. So I'll just say that I did a lot to get the purple.
Can you repeat like those last 10 seconds a little bit? I know for me, it's the last 10 seconds were garbled a little bit.
Okay, great. So I was going to show you what changes I had done to this photo, but I'll just describe them. So this was very bright and I darkened it down. The sky, going back to the original picture, was, you know, gray. So I darkened that sky.
Brenda, all I'm seeing is you. I'm not seeing your picture.
You're not seeing the screen share. Oh, it must have been. Hey, I am clicking on Zoom. Share screen. Okay, so are we back that you can see the screen with the gray sky?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So this was, so I changed the color of the sky. I took out the lights that are now polluting the picture. I enhanced the reflections, so you saw more of that pattern, got rid of the bright on the left. So I'll just flip over to the other shot from that shot to this shot with the purple sky. So that, again, that's something that we'd love to share with the club on how to do that. We just don't want to and this was the other one I'd entered the year before. That was Steve coming at us. You know, just safety on my part. I was going to share also a photo of, I took this photo, quick, terrible snapshot at Butterfly World, but we had household pets coming up. I don't have a household pet. So I pulled this photo and thought, what can I do to make it more interesting? So obviously it needed a big crop down to this, but you can see it's a plastic behind these two macaws. So I wanted to then change that. So I'm going to show you how I did that. So I went ahead and I actually want to take this over. So what I did was I selected subject in, let's see if this will take me over into Photoshop properly. So I selected subject, so I cut out the parrots. And this is a good one because it's just pretty much the parrots. There's not a lot of background stuff going on. Control-0 fills my screen. And then, I want a copy of what you're going to do, and then select. And this is a newer feature in Photoshop, and I'm choosing okay, can you guys see the parrots, or did I lose you?
You lost us.
I wonder what. Okay. Do you know what's happening, Chris? The meeting.
I do not know why.
So are you seeing the parrots now?
Nope. Can you click share screen again?
I just did.
I know you've been garbled a couple times, and that might be, there we go. Says you've started screen sharing. There we go.
Okay, now you should be seeing Photoshop.
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm going to do in Photoshop is go up to select, and I'm going to select subject. And this is a newer feature of Photoshop, and it will pull your subject. And you can see the ants running alongside of it, and come up here and go select and mask. And now I can choose my how I want to look at it. So you can see that, for example, part of the stick is missing on the bird. So I can come up here and choose overlay to see what's missing. And then I can go to my plus brush, and I'm painting down on the stick. And I can see that the system's kind of lagging, but I basically, so what I'll do is go back to Lightroom. So what I did is I'll see if I can, good thing that you recorded yours, Teresa, with all the stuff you have in yours. This would have been a good idea for me. So I'll take my finished one over and see if I can get rid of some layers. Show you the layers. Boy, it's just. So basically what I did, can you see, are you now looking at Lightroom and the birds with green behind them?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, it's not moving fast enough. So what I did is I cut out the parrots. I took a leaf that I had photographed in my backyard in Florida. Can you see the leaf? Can you see a green leaf now?
Yes.
Okay, so I took the green leaf, in Photoshop, I used Gaussian blur and I blurred it. And then I put it behind the birds so that it had more of a natural background. So I started with this and I finished with this. So I'll hop off and let Jerry and you go, and then I'm gonna shut down and come back on and see if I might have more juice to be able to do
Okay.
some other things.
Brenda, that was under 15 minutes. So we'll see what time we've got left to fill when Jerry is done. But very creative. And I love that your background is varied a little bit in the lights and darks. So it looks very natural. It doesn't look so copy pasty, even though it's a background with the selection with the birds. Very cool.
Thanks.
Okay, Jerry, you're up.
Okay, give me just a second here.
Okay.
I'm gonna get a screen pulled up for us. And screen number 2. All right, I'm gonna start here. Now, I don't typically use Lightroom and Photoshop very often, Photoshop. So I've got some photos here. This is a technique that's referred to as a zoom blur, okay? I spent 5 minutes in, I think, Photoshop editing this out. Okay, this is the original shot straight out of camera. This is Fort Wayne, Coney Island. This was taken right in the middle of the street. If you look in the upper left-hand corner, you're gonna see this. The exposure time on this was about 5 seconds. So the way this process is done is you take a zoom lens and you frame the picture up that you would like to start with in the zoom lens. And then at this point, you zoom in, okay? Now this is the starting picture. This is what I ended up with. Cropped it in, made some basic Lightroom changes. And you zoom in and you get these light trails that appear to zooming into the picture basically. There are this took 5 seconds to shoot. I did this like 3 times to get one that was right. And I took this into, I think, Photoshop at that point and cropped it in and did some darkening and some of the stuff to kind of make it a little bit more enhanced because we had this, ended up with this. So I got the reds and stuff improved. The technique really isn't too difficult. So there's very minimal processing on this. I like to get my stuff, at least the majority of it done in camera when I take the photo originally. So I cropped this down, enhanced some of the colors, and ended up with this photo. This photo was entered in an art exhibit at the Allen County Public Library called The Art of Fort Wayne. It's a mixed media exhibit, which means it had painting, it had any kind of art form you could imagine. And when I entered it, I didn't realize it was going to be a juried exhibit, and it was. So I had this and another photo that I had taken, which was also a long exposure style photo. And this one took first place out of all the entries. It was judged by 3 judges. Each of the judges reviewed all the entries independently. They didn't travel on in a group. And this was a situation where you had a photo that fit the category well and was not a skyline of Fort Wayne. So I was talking to one of the judges at the reception, and it's a situation where this was the right photo in the right competition, and it wasn't like everybody else's. It was something original. So it took first place in that competition. And it really isn't too difficult to do. There are some things you have to be aware of. You're going to have a tripod for that long exposure. You're going to want a remote release so that you don't vibrate the camera. The trick is when you go to do your zoom function, if you shake that camera at all, you're going to get curves and wiggles, either side to side, up and down, or whatever, in your end result. So you have to be very fluid and very steady when you do your zooming functions. Some practice on this, it's not too terrible to do. Okay, so that took me, I probably spent total start to finish. This is when Sarah and I went out to take night photography one day because she wanted to know how to do it. So that photo was there. I mean, it not hugely difficult to do, but it is a concept that you have to understand how to do it. It's not done in Photoshop. It's done in camera with a zoom lens. And I used a kit lens and a kit camera, if you want to call it that. Nothing spectacular. And that was where that came from. I had another one I'm going to share with you that was done as you can call it a commission. It was done as a request by the groom at a wedding. How'd you get the shot? Well, I took it on a hill at the wedding. So I started out here and it ended up with, the groom sent me a concept photo that he had seen, someone had seen it on Instagram or someplace. He sent it to me, he says, can you do something like this? I go, yeah. Had a gray sky and all kinds. I said, yeah, I don't like the gray sky. Can we do something different? He goes, yeah. So that's where it started out. We ended up with this when we were done. He wanted a Star Wars themed photo for his wedding album, okay? So there's a sky replacement tool in Photoshop. Not gonna work here. There's no sky. If you choose subject, it's going to pick a subject, but not all of them. So you had to go in and manually choose these and edit these out. You notice that the original starting photo was daylight, bright, actually holding lightsabers on this that they held during the ceremonies. This was taken just shortly after the ceremony was over. So I cropped this in to get rid of the useless grass at the bottom. I darkened the overall exposure to make it look more night-like, and each object in this is a new layer in Photoshop. The sky photo was taken here in Fort Wayne about a week after the wedding. So this is an actual sky shot in Fort Wayne. So the reason I chose each layer to be a different, or each object to be a different layer, it gives you individual brightness and contrast controls. And you can now make an individual object brighter or darker just by choosing a layer and making the adjustments on that one layer. So we tossed this in there, and he put this on his Facebook page for a while. But we took all the details on this. We added the lightsaber glow, matched the angle the lightsabers they were holding. I found free copies of these Star Wars images online and use those. They were royalty free, and it wasn't going to be sold anyway, so it didn't matter. So that one is about a half a dozen or so layers of individual photos, starting from the wedding and going on to what they wanted in Photoshop. So I may not use Photoshop a lot, but when you have to use it, like a request like this, you don't have any choice, but there's only one way to get this to Photoshop that together in pieces. So I'm more of an straight out of camera kind of guy. I mean, this was very quickly cropped and some adjustments made to it to end up with that. You notice that it went from an orientation of basically landscape to basically portrait. That was to get some of these, some of the stuff out of it. There was a person down here that I took out, but just by cropping in. So that's all I've really got at this point was those two, because you start out with something like this, you needed to have a concept in mind, and that's what he had a basic concept. The concept he had was an overall gray sky, which I thought was pretty lifeless. And then he had a few Star Wars icons because he's a Star Wars kind of guy. So that's what I got going at this point. Any questions at this point?
I just love the concept, and I'm a sucker for nerdiness.
Well, we talked about his the picture he showed me. He said, I want one like this. I said, we can do something similar. And I discussed about the gray sky. You couldn't see some of the stuff in the sky because it was so gray. I said, let's do something a little bit different. So I found all the Star Wars figure pictures online someplace. We took the shot at the wedding. I said, those trees that you see there will not be there. Just stand there and face the trees. I'll deal with the rest of it later, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So then we tossed in, and we had to bring exposure down from the wedding photo to make it look more night-like, to give it a more realistic effect. I think his mother ended up printing this up to an 8x10 for him and giving it to him for his birthday. So that kind of stuff is more of a digital art form than photography, but that's you do what people want you to do, you know, to get the stuff taken care of, to get the job done.
Sure.
So
Great photo.
Say what?
Great photo, Jerry.
I think Brian saw this at one point in time. He asked me about doing the layers in Photoshop at one point. Yeah.
Yep, I've seen it. Yep.
So it was interesting to do. I mean, that took me an hour tops in Photoshop at the most to get everything imported and where I wanted and moving stuff around and stuff like that. So I may not use Photoshop much, but when I need it, you know.
It's really cool, Jerry. You said that they were going to get an 8x10.
Yeah, I
Convince
think
him
his
to go
mom made it into an 8x10 for him and had a friend give it to him for his birthday.
You should try to tell her it needs to be 3 times as big as that.
Yeah, I
8x10
know.
is
Right.
I go
teeny.
big or stay home, you know.
It needs to go bigger, but it's very fun and very cool. Nice work.
The biggest print I've made is a 20x40 as an individual photo.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest one. And that was with an older camera too, that didn't have it was struggling with the dark environment. So anyway, that's all I've got at this point for you folks.
Thanks.
Very cool. All right. Well, we've got 35 minutes left. Brenda had some extra stuff, and then I had a little, very, very little thing. So I can do that at the end if there's time or not. It's really just don't forget to try something.
You want to do yours now, Chris?
Yeah, I can if you want. Let me let's see. Photo club. Just a second. Sorry. All the folders on the computer. Okay. All right. Let me share my screen. I'm just gonna try to do this as quickly as possible. Screen 1. Yeah, share. Okay. My thing is just telling you, this is my background. I change my background picture on my computer all the time. I'm sure you guys do too. So this is from the Botanical Conservatory, and my happy place is doing, I guess I love macro work more than I realized. So, and I looked at a bunch of my vintage lenses, and I have multiple vintage macro lenses. So my thing for tonight was to just reiterate to everybody and remind you that you don't have to have $1,000 macro lens to do macro. You can put and going back to our macro workshop, you can use extension tubes, or you can get a vintage macro lens, and I'm more than happy, probably too happy, to discuss vintage lenses with anyone, anytime. So this is an adapter, and this is a manual adapter. So I am on a mirrorless camera system, so I'm using focus peaking to focus manually and help me see what's in focus. I still punch in and kind of zoom in and check it. But you just put this up against the body of your camera, and you have to get the correct mount for your camera, and you have to get the correct mount for the vintage lens. So I have macro lenses from Canon, from Nikon, actually multiple ones from Canon. And then I just got the Bokina, I'm saying this with quotes. I just bought a Tokina one that has the nickname Bokina. It's a 90 millimeter 2.5, and I got a doubler for it. So twice again the aperture, but it goes to 180 millimeters and it'll do 1-to-1 macro. So I guess I got to get in touch with Lindsay and see about photographing her spiders or something. So this is what it looks like on a camera body. These adapters are $10 or so. And my preferred brand is Fwpc. It sounds like fantasy, but it's Fwpc, F-O-T-A-S-Y. I don't know why it's called that, but they make good adapters and they're cheap. So, and some of the, just like, you know, any other lens, you can have cheap versions or expensive. My least expensive vintage macro lens was $50 and my most expensive was $300. So you could get into macro for, I even fished one out of the $5 dustbin at Jack's Camera Shop in Muncie when they were still open. So that was $5 plus a $10 adapter, $15. So vintage glass is wonderful and cheap. And if you can manually focus and don't mind doing that, it's great. So yay macro. That's the end of my thing. So I didn't show any images just because like I've never owned a fancy expensive macro lens. So everything you've ever seen me post that is macro was done with a cheap lens. Because I just last month I bought the fancy Bokina one. I haven't even had a chance to use it yet. So that's it. All right. So I'm going to stop my screen share. I'm going to turn it over to Brenda and let her take it away and finish us up.
I will try again and see if
there we go. Yeah, it's sharing, Brenda.
We'll quit if it doesn't work well. So HDR sunset, and this can be done in Lightroom easily.
Brenda, you're cutting out on your audio. We haven't heard about at least I haven't heard about the last 10 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds.
She looks frozen.
Oh, Zoom. Let's give it a second here. Brenda. Okay, Brenda's off. She's going to come probably just try to log back on. So we'll give it a second. That's just real quick while we're waiting on Brenda to come back on. This is wonderful. I was so excited for this tonight. There we go. There's Brenda. That's everyone has shared wonderful information, lots of techniques, new stuff to try. There you are.
Yeah, so I don't know. Obviously, I'm not supposed to present tonight. No one else has any trouble. So I will try one more time and we'll give it up if it doesn't work. So I will.
All those COVID people in Florida using up the internet connection.
Okay, now you should see, you should be seeing why is my system moving so slow? A sunset photo, correct? With the little cypress knees in front, great. So it is made up of HDRs, made up of 3 or more shots. It can be made up of a single shot, but mine are 3. So I wanted the rays of the sun that you see here. So I exposed to get the cypress knees, which is what I wanted. Those are the front little knobby things. Those are how cypress trees grow. They grow little knees. They're called cypress knees. And then I exposed for a really good lush sunset and then even darker. So to get that, what you do is you take those 3 shots, 5 shots, whatever, and you go up to photo merge, HDR. That's it. That's all you do. And it will create an HDR preview. It will ask us some questions that we can answer. Now, because I'm shooting moving things, trees and water, and the sun is all moving, even though I'm taking 3 shots. So we want to get rid of the ghosting of that moving. Now, if I was just shooting something that wasn't moving, that would, like a building, 3 different shots of a building, then we wouldn't have to worry about that. So can you see my setup is set up for auto align, because I want them to set that up, and you can see a big red painting on it. That is the ghosting screen showing what was moving. And it's exactly what you would think would be moving. The clouds, the tree, and the tall grasses. So I have it set for de-ghost amount high, and I hit merge, and it takes a little time. You can see up in the top left, it's merging. And so this is available really on lots of other software besides Lightroom and Photoshop, you know, and is just as easy as I'm showing you. So it's taking that very difficult, that very dark photo, merging it with the really blown out photo, and is almost done. And you don't edit any of the photos ahead as far as how you want them cropped. And so it pops in and like that. And then now you treat it as one photo. And so, you know, I'm going to crop down because I've got a lot of blue sky I don't really want. You know, now I might change for my lens, and that changes the shape of the photo a little bit. You know, I'm going to sharpen it. I don't need to do any noise reduction. And it is already, because I said auto settings, it already has made a lot of changes to the photo. And now I can go in and darken the tree if I want, or what have you. And I was going to show you one quick thing that I enjoy doing is using the brush, and I always use effect and shut everything off, and putting on a little temperature, yellow temp, and just touch down and add a few drops of light. So particularly in this front where this is a little boring, up front, it's add a little bit of gold here. There's some mud here, so brighten that up maybe. And then it might be too much. That's fine. I can then just take that down to something that I want. So that's something that you can do. And this is still a nature photo. HDR is considered nature photo. And also darkening and lightening, if I want to darken around where the sun is, or I want to darken the blue, all of that is allowed in nature. Adding the yellow is a lightening technique. So all of that is allowed. What's not allowed is if there's a boat, I can't remove the boat. If there's a piece of trash, I can't remove the trash. So it would not be able to be in nature. Okay, any questions? My first moments without it cutting me out.
No, I love that, just coming into summer, that we've got a reminder to use HDR.
It's you do not have to be on a tripod. You really want to be on a tripod. That you really want to keep that ISO low. Okay, I'll try something else, and we'll since we have a little bit of time. So I shot, this is called a little blue heron. It's not related to the great blue heron that we know more commonly. This is a smaller bird with a purple head and a yellow eye. And I photographed this down here in Florida. It has green legs, lime green legs. And it's great action for nature photos, and judged by PSA, they like to see bird or animal behaviors. They don't like to see a bird on a stick. So this has a little bit more interest. The problem is, of course, there's way too much crap in this photo, and I can't delete it because it is a nature photo. So I cannot remove anything from the photo. So the, oh, sorry, this was the original photo. So you can see I was far away. And let me just get that. Yeah, it was 504 millimeters away, so big lens. And the bird is off, you know, off to the right. I was photographing him on this and he jumped. So I cropped it up to this, and I've got a big problem with that. So I started darkening it, and I added to my canvas because I kept that canvas dark. In my final photo, I added I lightened where the bird was landing. So we had the goal of where the movement was going, and I darkened down the stumps. So I'm scared to take us over into Photoshop to show you that. But basically that the basic goal was to get rid of the busyness we saw in this shot, and take it to where we can, oh, now it's giving me nastygram messages, take it to where we can focus on the subject. And you always want your subject to be the lightest object in the picture wherever you can. And
That's gorgeous. Just,
thank you.
oh my goodness.
So Denise and I were in Florida last year before we even knew what COVID was. And we went to Ocala to a famous Olympic United States equestrian team trials, and getting ready for the Olympics. So I took this photo, which I liked the action, and it was for our category in club called action or something similar to that. And so I liked that the horse was off the ground and kicking up some dirt. The problem is there's a lot of stuff other in this picture. We have a guy on the right standing. We've got these signs in the back. You know, we've got another jump over here. We've got another jump over here. We've got sandbags holding these jumps down. And we've got signs here. So I went ahead and removed everything, and this was what I entered in competition as I cleaned everything out so that we weren't distracted by lots going back, you know, lots of bright, crazy stuff in this photo. I wanted to get rid of all of that. So I thought I'd show, I'll try. My goal was to take this over into Photoshop and show you like how I use the patch tool and the clone tool to remove stuff. So we'll see if this works or whether we're done for tonight. Chris, has it started opening? Is it opening up in Photoshop? Are you seeing that?
I'm still seeing Lightroom.
That you're not seeing Photoshop?
No, not yet.
Okay, I'm going to new share. Okay, now are you seeing?
Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Now it's gotta let me make a copy here. So I always want to make a copy, and I always use Control 0 to fill my screen. So I'm using what I consider all the real estate I can get. And I really use the patch tool a lot, and I'm just going to do a really fast job to show you how that works. So here, I don't want to, well, I actually might be able to do this. Let's see. I'm going to draw a line with my patch tool. It is moving slow, slow. And then I'm just going to drag the part I want away. And it is replacing it now. Sorry, it's moving super weird. So you get the idea. It's jumping all around. So the general idea, if it was behaving, is that it's giving me that thing. You can see it's jumping on me. So the fence is out of alignment there. But you can quickly go around using the patch tool and replacing it. So if I want to get rid of this pole, let me try this pole back here. Then I'm just going to pull it over to the side, and it is going to mimic this other one. I'm going to get this fence even, and it will replace it. And then Control D. So I can get rid of the pole, and then now I've got a nice chunk of fence. I can get rid of this sign, then I can get rid of this sign. I've got some sand here, so I can pick just a portion of this jump and drag this down to here. And I don't want a horsetail in the middle of the empty. Yeah, it's between Zoom and what have you, it's not liking the thing, but you get the general idea of how you can use that. And then I can also use the, so it's, you can see it's processing that into sand, and Control D or Command D will remove that. The clone tool will wherever I put down my brush is where it'll copy from. So I'm going to put down my brush right here. I use my Alt key, which is Option on the Mac, and I'm just going to go up, and you can see I'm dragging sand, and I can just cover up what I want to cover up, and I can make my brush harder. Take another sample. Drag it up, start covering stuff up. And it's just sampling from below. So that's how I got everything done. And if everything was too repetitive, then I used my my tool to make some irregular lines in it to kind of break things up. I took off the tag on the horse and rider. I took off the sandbags below, and I'll see if I can switch back. Well, that's weird. Now it won't let me out. Okay, stop share. Lightroom. And it was way easier to do when I wasn't having slow internet. So something else that I shot was in, I wanted the smooth water. This is what the end photo is. And how I got that is this.
Brenda,
Yep.
we lost you again.
Oh no. Okay. Oh, that makes sense because I probably need to share. Screen. Okay, can you see the screen now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, so sorry. Okay, so this is the a building in Venice, Italy, and I wanted the smooth water, so I used a neutral density filter. So I have a lot of neutral density filters stacked on to get that water to be smooth because I wanted to go for a really long time. So the actual photo, when I took it, looks like this, and let me show you the thing. Yeah, so that was 116 seconds, almost 2 minutes. And I needed to do that because this is a street in Venice and there are speedboats racing. I mean, racing up and down. There are huge waves splashing up against the buildings. The boat in the background's moving. And so I shot it with neutral density filters so I could get it, that water smooth enough. And then when I adjusted it, it looked like this. And then I took it over to detail extractor in Nick filters. And that's what really brought out the sheen in the water and the more of the texture that I like so well in the buildings. I also cropped this into a vertical for a wall in my house. And so, you know, gives you a completely different look, but you still can see that water, that slow water. So that's it, what you can do with neutral density filters. I know Sue Sells, didn't you get neutral density filters? I was thinking you just bought some because John Greger recommended them.
I bought some, Mrs. Denise, I bought some, but I haven't used them yet.
Yeah, they're really great for, you know, if we do the waterfalls, that Chris is hoping that it will be safer to do a road trip. And, you know, I just, at this point, being in a car with somebody terrifies me.
Yes, I did get the neutral density filters.
Yeah, and did you, have you used them yet? Have you gotten anything nice with them that you're happy with?
I've only used them that one time when we went to Promenade Park. And I need to go somewhere where I can use them again.
Yeah, it does require a tripod.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
or a platypod to do anything.
Hey, Brenda,
Yes.
how many stops was the ND filter that you used for this photo? How many stops was it?
I think I was about 20, Jerry, and what I had on, let me think about it. I think I had I kept layering them. So I think I had a 10 and an 8 on, but when you layer a 10 and an 8, it's not an 18, it's like an 80. I mean, that's not the exact math, but it's way more powerful than a 10 plus 8.
Okay, I was just curious. All right, thank you.
Yeah, I did it with less, and you know, when you're holding the shutter open for 2 minutes, it just becomes, you know, you just get a white screen. And I got smooth water, but everything was white. So I kept stacking them on until I got it enough I could get the smooth water plus. I was going to show one other thing I did. I have Nick and Topaz and use a bit of both. This was a shot I took with a platypod in New York City. And I didn't like that there's a green building in there and there's red towers and there's a white boat moving and an orange boat moving here. I did not quite get the water as smooth as I did in Italy. And I was on the rocks on the side, climbing down and like trying to hold my camera and the platypod from all just tumbling down this rock bank into whatever the water is in New York Harbor. I was Hudson River. Yeah, I did not want my camera gear in the Hudson River. So only airplanes float there. So I turned it to black and white in Nick filters, and I was so much happier with the look of it. Again, I wish the water was completely fluffy, but smooth, but I was happy with how much it leveled out the orange towers, what have you. I wound up winning an auction item, which was a session with Scott Kelby, a Zoom session with Scott Kelby on my photos. And I showed him this photo and he goes, it's perfect, but you got to darken the sky. And this is what he did. He just darkened the sky just a little bit. So I had it here and he added, just took a brush and Photoshop across the top. I think it added a lot to it.
Nope, I like your version better.
I think the sky's it's a little too bright in mine, but the brighter sky does highlight the buildings, which is more of the topic. So that's what I have. I just want to remind everybody, next Tuesday, I would love for everybody to be able to attend Ruth Carter. I feel super good that she came. I'd love for you to bring all your photography friends, so that I really want Ruth to have a big audience, and two, I really hope that it will be something that will get people excited about joining virtually, because we've been doing, Chris has been, and myself have been putting together 2-3 workshops a month. Plus we've got our competitive site, and we've got Critique Corner. And now Chris is planning all sorts of outside events. And
Ryan, if
yeah,
we can get COVID stuff under control.
yeah, so.
Yeah,
Anyway.
and so the lawyer workshop, let's just add, we decided to open that up to non-paid members to show them the value of the membership of the photo club. So, and I think we really want to be there in person so we can ask our questions.
Right, and it's it's just $12.50 for somebody to join until the end of, until August 31st, when our new season starts September 1st. And then September 1st to September 1st is $25. So not a crushing thing. So Teresa is the one who came up with this idea of photographers talking about what they did and start to finish. So I'd love to do this again. I mean, maybe it's in next season and have a lot more people participate. I thought it was really fun to see, Jerry did 2 crazy different things, and Basil did something really novel that would be great to do as a club, to offer that to people with handicaps, where we could make them feel they could walk or run or whatever. And, I just, and the light painting that Denise spent a lot of time learning about, I think it'd be super fun to have more people show some of their different things that they're doing and how they did it. So, hopefully you can see, hey, I can put 3 photos together in Photoshop. There was nothing to that. And I can do the zoom blur that Jerry did. There was nothing, it's very simple. It's not difficult at all.
Yeah, I think it's just being reminded of what techniques are out there.
So if everybody would unmute and just kind of let us know, would you like more of these or not? Obviously it would not be all Brenda again, but.
It was awesome. I loved it. Thank you.
I would like more.
Okay, great, Irene.
I like the variety that we had tonight.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah.
I'd love to see your face, how you did your face painting one. That would be great, Danielle. So we had Cindy Eaton was on. My friend from Florida has joined us. She had to leave, so she's moved on. I see Wolfgang is on. Wolfgang, you've done really well in competitions. Good for you. He's been killing it. And Mike Koenig, are you still on? I see your picture, but I don't know if you're here.
Yes, I'm still on.
Oh, and Wolfgang's here too. So Wolf, congratulations. You've been doing really well in competition. And Mike, I screwed up big time for you. I'm sorry. I need to fix it. I put the cover photo of Larry Kilgore, who actually got second in Nature in April, and it should have been you who got first with your landscape. So that was
No, that's no big deal. He had a great photo also.
well, that was completely on me. I grabbed the wrong photos. So Sarah caught that today and pointed that out to me. So I apologize. It was not on my intention to grab the wrong photos. So.
Nah, no big deal.
Okay, well, thank you for being gracious about that. Brian, are you on? Do you have any comments for everybody? Brian is our president.
Yeah, just I think this was a lot of fun. Definitely would like to do something again like this. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I think it's really fun.
Yes, thank you, Teresa.
No,
Yeah.
Teresa came up with the idea, and then Teresa's doing the most creative, crazy stuff. That was wild.
I know.
Really fun to watch. Jerry, as secretary and treasurer, do you have anything you want to share? Any business announcements? And thanks for
not at this point. No, I got to head out because I got something else coming up here in about 2 minutes.
Okay,
great.
Perfect timing.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks, Jerry, and thank you, Teresa, for putting that all together for us.
Wonderful. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. And don't forget on the 27th, the copyright workshop, invite everyone. And I dare you to fill us up. And then coming up on May 4th, we've got monochrome.
And remember, right now, no one is taking me up on my challenge. We're giving away $25 for somebody with a picture of them holding their certificate that they've won. Mike Koenig, this is how you could get back at me. It's my $25. So you could put up your picture. Brian Serra, you did great. You won first in self-portraits, right? I think you did. Yeah, so advanced self-portrait, so you could get get out there. Yep.
That's true. Yep.
Irene, you did really well in novice. Danielle did really well. So anyway, I got $25 I'm giving away to somebody who holds their certificate up. So Teresa killed it last month. You did pretty well this month too, didn't you? Oh, you weren't in this month, were you? April.
Am I muted?
There you go.
We can hear
there
you.
You
go. I don't know. I think I did second in the self-portrait thing.
Oh, yeah, because you had your, you as a princess with your book.
I was wearing the book dress.
Yes, with the crown and a skull by your left side. That was really interesting.
Surrounded by stuff that I like.
Yeah, no, your environment was really cool on that. Every time I'm like, a skull? Oh, a bird cage? Oh, it was really good. Yeah. So great. Well, I guess you're gonna send us out, Chris?
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for participating. And don't forget those upcoming workshops. And, let's keep spreading the word to all of our other members that if they're here in person, they can interact and ask questions. Of course, I'll still post the recordings. But yeah, just keep trying to get everybody participating.
Thanks so much. Thanks for hosting, Chris.
All right. Thank you, guys. See you next time.
You.
Copyright.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye, Wolf.